izina ryanjye ni Mauda, Nyiravuguhenda, Veregi, Nirusheke, Umuruki, Remera.
Her name is Mauda Nyiravuguhenda from Rusheke, Remera, Bukimbiri sub-county.
Ihamba ryo rishuka ryo ndabeja batata na ba mama bajariye Budigwiti.
Bwindi. That's where she was born from. That's where her parents and great-great-parents, grandparents used to stay. That's where she was produced from.
Muhamba batatahaga ko burutare yabubu bisaka rero abahara bakadagira ibucabo cishaka abada b'ubwojo nabo bakaja mu cabo cishaka batata nabo na mawe nabo bakaja mu cabo cishaka rero umuriro gukatuca bugati kugira gicikoko kitatuke.
Back in the forest, we used to stay in the caves plus bushes. Girls had their own bush, their parents their own bush, then the boys their own bush. But they would put a fire in the middle which would separate both of them, the three of them, so that animals would not come and attack them.
Ahero deho haboneye bo Batwa turi kubonabona. Turi kuga igo tutahingire tukayiga tutakorera ki nodu turi kuba tuhakabira turi kuhinga ikibira ico kitubodeye dore twabeye yahukare buri turi buhamba twabeye busha tudari kibikoko tashodije twatinde kahugereye niho bari kukuha akahu ko kuhagatira kuko pagati y'ugwete ifu utajwa tashodije bodro twaturi kibikoko nodu twabeye abatu
She prefers the outside. That in the forest they used to suffer. They never used to clothe themselves. They used to put on skins and hides. And at my age, that's when you would be given a skin to put on. But otherwise, they were naked. They would eat what they never suffered for. But nowadays, if they give them a small piece of land, they can cultivate. They are now dressed like other people, and they can see other changes.
Iriri fogu jabihanda yide habushike gwihamba nitogore kabara.
That for her, she has a small piece of land, very small piece of land, her and her family. She's grateful for that piece of land because most of other families are still squatters. And she's saying the land was bought for them by NGOs. Okay. But she's not clear of which NGO.
Abakiga abingi tabaratera kada abingi twarizayo turatura ndabo kabaturage betu kabada betu barendaga babatwike muci ariko bubushade tibo bufata ngamutwara amutashi ngatasho umutwakazi yabo umutwatasho mwirukazi iyishishada boyirasha bakayimara naho mu bindi byaro Bukimbiri yetu yaho mu bindi byaro Kayonja ukubushaja Nyarushiza bari kutashanya ariko Bukimbiri yetu uchikurayo.
According to her area, that is Bukimbiri. For her, the other dominant groups like the Bachiga, they don't like them. And she gave an example of intermarriages where it's usually impossible for a Mutwa to marry a Muhutu or a Muchiga, in other words. Yeah. And the Bachiga, what they do, they usually tend to force them into sex at night. But during the day, they don't want themselves to be seen with a Mutwa. But at night, they want to use them so that they impregnate them and they produce kids.
Barababitu babatwale batuheye ki batwereye tibo batwara uruganda rw'abakigo gutwabara kukanya bari kutwika bahara betu abubuhara arabubutu abumozo arabubutu akazi.
But we always claim back our kids. We can't give them to the Bachiga. We can't. Because they haven't given us any appreciation like dowry or what.
Barashagwa dubukiga rero wabuhara wake arabari buhara wake azirita ayitwe bukiga dewayibuheye ayizi yabo yirebesije butwale bugwariro yayishara kurugi buka umwana turabureberera tuburere kuwetu akure kuwetu akurara bejaga dubuto tarabejaga dubuto abo kububuto tarabakuriye.
We raise the kids as Batwa, not as Bahutu, because from the start the kid is produced from our family as Batwa. We care for the kid and the kid will grow knowing he or she is a Mutwa because it's not the Mchiga taking care of him or her.
Ichoda hulira data chodo kapa gababeje gabatwa babagaho nukusigata umurogo batata babashigata gahihamba nukuja ubuki bo batata babajya gahihamba dubuhura ibi igo gabibeshaga habatwa ibi bega batatu bega batabagaho abatwa bucaro babaga buhabe habaye ko ryagida abatwa bacaya gibisiza abantu baca hari bibi koko harimo n'abantu ico dico ndondera ndakapa bumesho bw'abantu ahubwo kuba dico caderire igo kuhinga biribwe buri kutwigisha butite twaturabimenye twatujyaga ibihangano byo ruhaga hangire bushi byo ruhaga yahangire kandi bizuba hihamba digigi Igo twatujyaga ubwo buki twabubona twegura turetera abirukazi batuhibigyo igo kuhinga twaturabimenye ruri buti gwatwigishije kuhinga habe yabajogo kamwe.
She was talking about the livelihood of the Batwa back in the forest. That what she would like people to know is that Batwa used to stay in the forest, how they used to make fire. She was demonstrating how they used to make fire, then the wild honey they used to get. That's how they survived. They never used to dig. They didn't know how to dig. They only survived on God-made food from the forest, including wild honey, fruits back in the forest were many. Those are the things the Batwa used to live on and survive on. They've just learned how to dig now.
Iswede dagaciyeho bubesho wo kutuhereza itaka ihamba bari twihiremo batari kutushubizabo ubusubanyu baguyitaga kutuhereza itaka kandi bakigisha abana betu nabo bakiga bakaba kabandi be karibu tayigire karibu mwikeya yatutwigire hakaruga bugwada kawe na wakikara kiyo tube yikeyemo akayikara ariko ari kuriya twaturi bikoko yodubu ico datekereza dadisho cyo kutuyihamo bakatuhindura abantu bene kutuya kuri baba bari kutuhuriza ibikoko bari kutuhira bucaro bari kuyatuga tubeka abantu bakasaga tabatu twabadagiriye mu bikoko kandi bari abantu ico turi habya hico kugira ngo tusube hari.
She began by saying that backwardness kills. So for her, she would like in future they be given land of which they can't go back to the forest. They no longer want to go back to the forest because the mere fact that they were evicted from the forest is not just evicting. Though they don't have land, they would wish to come out and also be like other human beings. They were evicted because maybe those who evicted them didn't want them to be like animals the way they were living in the forest. So if in future they get land for them, they educate their children. She gave an example of myself. If one of them, a Mutwa, is educated and she can do what I'm doing and she can come also here, sit in this same chair, translate as I'm doing, that would be her wish.